What's up, guys? Adam here with Adam's Hair Stuff. And today's video is going to be for you barbers and your hairstylists out there who are curious on my process when it comes to a skin fade or a bald fade. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I like to do them and my process when it comes to them. Also, there's going to be a little bit of styling in this video and some shear work and just overall how I like to do a haircut in general when it comes to everyday cutting hair for me. So if you guys are interested in that, stick around and we will show you what I like to do. And for you guys who are new to the channel, I'm Adam. I'm a professional barber, and I also like to make YouTube videos on men's grooming tips and tricks, also men's lifestyle, men's apparel, men's style in general. And also I like to do barber tutorials, barber videos, because that's what I do for a living. I have a passion for it, and I want to share my knowledge that I have gained over the years with you guys. So if you guys are interested in that, please hit that subscribe button. Also, give me one of these. Guys, so here we go, a high contrast skin fade. Now what makes it a high contrast skin fade is basically we are creating a blend in a really short amount of space, which creates a heavy weight line, but still blended. I really like the look. So first things first is we are going to set in our initial guideline with the fade. We're going to set this in low. This is going to be more of a low skin fade. And also we want to set it low just in case we want to bring the blend a little bit higher. So it gives us a little bit more room for error just in case we want to take it higher. Now I always start with the guideline on one side, and then I turn the client, look in the mirror, double check to see where I started on one side, and I do the same thing on the other side. So I start one side, and then I create it on the other side, and then I meet both guidelines in the middle. And what that also does and allows you to do is to create the shape that you want in the back of the nape, whether it be a more angled look, a rounder look, if you want to contour it a little bit more. So it just gives you a little bit more options. So that's why I like to do it like that. Next, we are going to take down the bulk with our trimmer. Just take down the bulk with the Andis Slimline Pros. I love this trimmer because it's very precise and also it does take down bulk very well. This is the only trimmer I really like to use, and the wireless capabilities as well. So really great trimmer if you're looking for something. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to take the remainder of that bulk down to skin with the Andis Slimline or the Andis Profoils here. I love this balder because it's really efficient and it has a great battery life. So just take down the remainder of the hair to skin with this. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to open up our clipper. I'm using the Wall Designers Zero Gap, so open it up all the way, lever all the way open, and create our next guideline using our motion to scoop out. Next thing you're going to do is we're going to close the trimmer down to 0 and flick right out underneath that first guideline of it open. So make sure you guys are really using your touch here, flicking out with that C motion. That really helps out because it doesn't create a really harsh guideline. Then after that, we're going to go right underneath that and flick out with our trimmer just to get down any remainder bulk that we did not get out when we took it down to 0. Now I'm just touching it up with the balders. You just want to tap it just in case there's a little bit of a line there. Next thing is we're going to put on our one guard and create our next guideline right above the open guideline that we made prior to that. So this is the one guard closed, and again using our touch flicking out. Next we're going to grab our half guard and do the same exact thing and flick out right underneath that one guard, that one initial guideline that we did, the one with the one guard. So start flicking out again with our motion, flicking out right underneath that one that we created. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our one guard back on and open it up, which is a 1.5. So all the way open, number one guard, again going up just above that, creating another slight guideline with our touch, flicking out just to not create any harsh lines to bring the fade up a little bit more. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some shears, do a little shear work here, and blend into the top slightly. Just going to lightly hit it to blend into just that little section right there, right above the parietal ridge area. What this is going to do is create more of a softer blend and also allow us to control that weight that we want to create for the high contrast. Just creates more of a feathered look, which I really like. Just keep working the area that you see has a lot of weight, and just keep hitting it with the shears, and it will eventually get a little bit lighter. So I saw that there was a lot of weight right above that where I did the shear work. So I'm going to use a little bit of clipper over comb to blend it in a little bit further and create the shape that I want around the parietal ridge area. We want to make sure that we are maintaining a square shape right here in this area, just to make sure that we create a really good shape for the client and their overall facial structure. So right after that, I'm going to hit the area that I hit with the shears with some blending shears, just to get rid of some more of the weight and blend a little bit further, which will create a smoother transition. But again, we want to try to keep it a little heavy. So just keep hitting it until you see some of the weight that you don't want disappear. All right, so the next thing that we are going to do, that I like to do anyway, is to edge up. Just do a little bit edging. I'm not too big on lining up your clients all harsh or anything like that. I only do that if a client really wants it. So you want to repeat that same process that I did on the other side. And then what you're left with is this area in the back. And what you do is just going to connect the fade all the way around and basically proceed and use the same exact steps that I did for the first side again. So my whole technique that I like to do with this is I like to work my way up, take the line out underneath, work my way up, then come back, take the line out underneath. What I like about this technique is it allows me to have a lot of control with it, and doesn't allow me to have to make a lot of errors. And if I do, I have some room to work with because I have basically outlined the areas where I need to blend and where I don't need to blend, which is why I like the process of taking up or creating a guideline, taking the line out underneath, and doing that all the way up to whatever blend you're trying to create. And every now and then you're going to have to go back and, if you see some weight or an area that has some lines in it, you might have to go back and do a little work on that specific area, especially on the back here. A lot of people have a pretty protruding occipital bone or something like that, or they have some divots in their head. So right here in the back, I tend to spend a little bit more time because there tends to be a little bit of shadows or some weight or something like that. So I tend to go back and kind of take my time right here and hit it a little bit more, go over the areas a little bit more, adjust the lever a little bit from open to close, and a lot of it is just or halfway open, stuff like that, so that I can try to remove as much of the line work or weight that is left behind from my overall process. And then you just want to do this and connect it with both sides of the fade. Like I said, I start on one side, do the other side, and then I connect them with the back. Kind of like how I said in the guidelines for the initial fade in the beginning with the trimmer. Same process. This is what I'm talking about. I'm just going back and working specific areas just to take out some more weight or some extra line work. Now, same thing, just going to go back and hit it with some clipper over comb. Just because, again, there's a lot of weight here in the back. There's a lot more hair in the back of the head than there are on the sides. This is where everyone holds most of their hair. So going back and just removing all the bulk that I can with clipper over comb first. Also, just maintaining that shape and that angle with the comb and the clipper. We don't want to round in. So typically on the sides, we want to maintain a square shape, and on the back, a more angular shape. Now I'm going through just wetting the hair on top to process the hair for with the transition into the fade. So he has really curly hair, so I want to wet this stuff down to blend in the sides into the top, right about on the round of the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a parting right above the round of the head, and then we are going to use some shear work to blend in the rest of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to create little sections, about half-inch sections, and then we are going to create diagonal sections as well, and use the hair underneath as our guide that we created with the clipper over comb and the shear over comb work, and blend it into the top. Again, just taking little sections, about half-inch sections, and working our way towards the center back. Now we want to make sure that when we grab the hair, we're not pulling it towards the client's face with the comb. We are pulling the section to the back, to the center back, because what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to create that's going to allow us to set in our length where we really want it. If you pull it from the front to the back, it's going to create a longer, make the hair longer. So make sure that you're pulling it from the front to the back. Again, in diagonal sections to create diagonal movement. Next thing I'm going to do is what I'm doing right here is I'm cross-checking it. I'm hitting it with a little bit of shear over comb just to make sure that I am pretty even all the way throughout the blending areas here between the top and the sides. So basically this is just cross-checking, just going through horizontally, because we went through it with diagonal sections or diagonal vertical sections. So now we're cross-checking it horizontally with shear over comb, just to make sure that we are blended. All right, next thing I'm going to do, since my client wants to leave his hair on top, he wants to leave the length where it is. So all I'm going to do is go through and add a little bit of texture. And what I like about this technique, what I'm doing is I'm just pulling up a section, twisting it, and then I'm going in with my shears and slightly cutting it. But I'm not closing the blades all the way. All I'm doing is feathering it, just hitting it a little bit. And going up with it at the same time. And what that does is just creates a little bit of texture, takes out a little bit of bulk, especially with curly hair. This is a really good technique for curly hair to add a little bit of texture and get some of those curls to loosen up a little bit. So we're just going to maintain the length, like I said, on top, because he likes the length where it is. So just adding a little bit of texture. Now we're just going through just to make sure everything's looking all right. Now on all my skin fades, I add this part to my service, so I'm just going to dust him off, and we are going to add some lather. So add some lather, and we are going to give our client a hot towel just because it feels really good, adds to the service, and also allows us to clean up all the areas that we might have missed with the balders. So adding the hot towel here. Always double check to make sure the towel is okay at temperature for your client. Press it against the skin. And then we are going to finish it up with some more lather here. And then we are going to shave with our straight edge right underneath. Like I said, we are doing this just to clean up any other hair that we might have missed with the balders. And also it just adds to the service. It keeps it a little bit different from other skin fades, and also gives it that old school vibe. So I really like doing this with my clients on all the skin fades and razor fades. So just work around the head, and also including the nape and the neck. Also just shaving the neck just to get down all those little hairs and all the vellus hair that's on the back of the neck usually, or if your client has a lot of hair on the neck. Also, make sure you hit those sideburns. So now just clean up your client. Make sure you get all that lather off of him. Keep it nice and clean. Keep your work nice and clean as possible. Apply a little bit of aftershave, disinfect the skin. Now what we're going to do is we're going to style up a little bit. So right here I'm using a little bit of the Paul Mitchell serum just to add a little bit of heat protection. Also protect the hair against any like UV or anything like that. So I'm going to be using the blow dryer on a high flow medium heat with a diffuser because his hair is curly. And the diffuser basically dries the hair without interfering with the curl in the hair. So really good for those curly styles that your clients are trying to achieve. If they have that curly hair like my client does here. We're just working around the head and just drying the hair into the initial shape that we want. And for him, he just kind of wants it up and out of his face and a little bit messy. So we're not trying to create a specific hardcore shape. Just make sure that it looks okay with his overall face shape. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit of this texture powder. This is the Holy Black texture powder. Really good stuff, man. I love this texture powder. And all this is going to do, again, just add a little bit of texture, a little bit of volume, and give him a little bit of tack in the hair so that it gives us a little control, a little definition. And it just pulls those curls out, gives him that messy kind of frizzy, just crazy look. Really good for those kind of styles. Now I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of hairspray to lock in our shape, lock in the style that we want, and just to get a few of those hairs that are sticking out and to get them in place. Now I like to clean up some stuff. I saw a little bit of weight in some areas, and this is a technique that I like to use with the shears. They're just going in and point cutting on the skin in specific areas where it's a little bit heavy. You got to be careful with this technique as to not nick your client, but it's a really good technique to get rid of those bulky areas or a little bit of weight in some specific areas, especially on your skin fades and these high contrast kind of fades. And there you guys have it, man. There's the finished style, the finished fade. Again, it's a process, but I find that this is the best way for me to fade hair, especially with this kind of style when you're going from really short into a lot longer on top. Again, we're trying to create a high contrast in the fade. We're not trying to blend it super precise. We're wanting it to have a little bit of weight around the parietal ridge area, just so that we create that little bit of weight line in there, which is a really old school style. A lot of barbers and a lot of guys back in the day used to like that high contrast fade. They had that high contrast fade because they did not have the type of clippers that we have today. You know, using hand clippers, you weren't allowed to. You didn't really have that option. So creating that high contrast gives it an old school look. That wraps it up for this video, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me and watching this video. I know it was a little bit lengthy and a lot of stuff was said during the video, but I want to pack as much detail into these barbering videos as I can. There's a lot of stuff that goes into them, and also I'm a very detailed and meticulous person as it is. So all those little details and everything I feel are very important and are what really make a haircut great and what make them stand out or can make you stand out from the rest of the other barbers or any other hair cutters or anything like that, because it puts you a step above when you are very detailed with your haircuts and very meticulous with them, and you want to, you know, be as precise as you possibly can with them. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around with me and watching this video. It means a great lot to me. Like the video and be sure to give me one of these, and also leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see in future videos, and also what you thought of this video. And if you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you know when I am posting videos. So again, I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. Thank you so much. And this is Adam with Adam's Hair Stuff. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy.